Hello and welcome to SquiniCentral. What was that I just showed you? That is me amending beds for some topsoil I bought. Let's just say I was trying to be cheap. Don't do that. It is topsoil. They said it would work for gardening. They say people buy it for gardening all the time. Yeah, if you want to amend the crap out of it. Um, Literally, it's like fine topsoil, sifted topsoil. It gets super muddy, like it makes the best mud cakes if you want to make like mud cakes or mud pies or whatever. Then it gets hard. I'll show you. So I planted these brassicas that I happened to find the other day at Agway. I think I mentioned that. And right now, hard as a rock. Now the rest of it wasn't just watered, so it's kind of sandy. So what did I have to do? I went out and bought some cocoa and perlite mix bags. I'm spending more money than if I just would have bought the stuff I normally buy. Live and learn. But I bought some cocoa perlite bags. I need to get this aerated and light, a little lighter and fluffy. Feels light and fluffy until you wet it. And I also got some pure worm castings just to go in as compost, because I did put some compost in here from my compost pile, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't a big enough compost pile yet. It was just last year's, and there was no chicken bedding compost yet. So next year I should have a lot more. But this is what I'm doing. I have to do it to this bed and finish that bed with this. And way over there is another bed I started that I need to finish. And this is what I'm doing today. What else am I doing? So I did not finish categorizing all my tomato plants and putting them in my system, in my plant app system. So when I went to start planting, I realized there's a ton of tomato plants that weren't in there because I hadn't put them in the system yet. So I kind of had a mini freak out yesterday because I was like, where am I going to put them? Where am I going to put them? And then I realized that even though all carrots, they are growing carrots, I realized that the cucumber trellis, actually there's like a 1.5 foot gap between the trellis and where the tomatoes were planted. I mean, that's the tomatoes, I'm sorry, the carrots. So these are actually volunteers from last year. I'm going to move them soon. So I planted out some of the starts seedlings I had in here. And I'm going to go all the way down because even where there's supposed to be cauliflower, there's a lot of gaps in there where there's not going to be any cauliflower. And there's, again, a foot gap between the trellis and where the cauliflower actually starts. I solved the one problem right there. And then I did finish planting out. I'm going to give these a good water tonight. The potato beds, I think I mentioned that before. And then the other day I planted, now this is the same dirt. I did put some wood chips from down here that had been sitting here for about 6 months, and then they had been sitting out in the yard for almost a year. So they're not new wood chips, but I did put some of those wood chips in here. I put some compost I had bought in here as well. And I'm hoping that it is definitely still wet. And I'm hoping that with the cover, it won't get hard, like cover the mulch, the hay mulch, that it won't get hard. And it should be okay. But in here I planted corn, and I planted different beans. What can I think of what they're called? Different shelling beans. Who knows if I planted enough to get anything worth it. But first year trying it. Little trial bed here. See if I can, one, get the corn to grow and the beans to grow on the corn. Otherwise, this would just be a really big bed, and I have to throw some kind of crazy trellis in here just to hold the beans if the corn doesn't grow. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. And this is the bed that I have to also amend. I had planted some tomatillos here from the hundreds of volunteer tomatillos that I had over here. I haven't cleared that side yet. I just cleared this side for the most part because I have to plant some tomatoes here. But I'm going to replant a couple of these guys over there in that bed after I amend it. I think I'm going to I left that big one right there. I'm going to pull that one and plant that over there as well. But they started to wilt and die. I planted like 4 after I planted them because, again, it got rock solid hard. I don't know, the water's not draining, the water wasn't going in, or I don't know. I have no idea. I was just at a loss with that. So I have some videos of my mama chicken who, she ended up, one egg ended up hatching that she was sitting on. The other ones were all duds, 10 dud eggs. But then I went and bought 3 chickens for her, 3 baby chicks for her. So I'm going to plug that video in here, and that's all I'm going to do right now because I have some back-breaking work to do to amend these beds right now. So thanks for joining. Please subscribe, check up, see how we're doing. I'm looking at the chickens. I'm afraid I just had to go. I had to go bring one back from the other side of the fence because she didn't know what they were doing. But anyway, thanks for joining us. Have a great day. Have a blessed day. Bye. So I just wanted to share what I did real quick. So I mixed in the perlite in the whole bed around the plants the best I could. Tried to break it up right around the plants and mix perlite in to the soil to hopefully let it be more, to drain more and not compact itself. And then I also added some dill that had volunteered over by the tomatillos from one dill plant last year. So I let the dill plant grow because it had caterpillars, monarch or something, some caterpillar on it. So I didn't want to like cut it down or anything like that. So it seeded very, very well apparently. So I added those in there just to help keep some pests away. And now I'm going to go add some over to that other bed in the corner and try to plant some tomatillo real quick. And then tomorrow I'll do it all again.